Okay, hello everyone. Okay, so the next program in chapter 2 is land calculation. Okay, so 1 acre of land is equivalent to 43,560 square feet. Write a program that asks the user to enter the total square feet in a tract of land and calculate the number of acres in the tract. Okay, it's given us a hint over here. It says divide the amount entered by 43,560 to get the number of acres. Okay, so just to get this clear, I'm going to before that, this question is a ratio and proportion problem. Okay, ratio and proportion. So before I go ahead, I'm going to try to explain this hint that they're giving us. Okay, so it's a ratio and proportion problem. I'm going to try to explain this in a comment. Okay, so I'm sorry. I have a slight cough, so that's why sometimes I cough like that. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to explain this ratio and proportion problem in a comment. All right, so the first thing said 1 acre of land is equivalent to 43,560, right? So write a program that asks the user to enter the total square feet. Okay, so based on what the user enters, the square feet, we're going to use that to calculate how many acres. Okay, so we know that from the question 1 acre of land is equivalent to 43,000 square feet. So I'm going to go ahead and try to explain this. So if, okay, again, this is not a programming statement. This is just English, trying to explain the idea of this question and why they gave us this hint. So if, if 43,560 is equivalent to 1 acre, then, then let me just space this out so it looks good. Then what the user is going to type, which we don't know. What the user is going to type, which, for now we don't know, but the user is going to type something. Okay, so for now let me just put user input. It's going to be equal to the question mark. So the question has told us that 43,560 square feet is equal to 1 acre. So we should allow the user to enter how many square feet, and we should basically use the program to calculate how many acres. All right. So we can use the same idea we can use the same idea with ratio and proportion. Okay. So the way ratio and proportion works is this. Let's assume the user entered 6785. Okay, 6785. Sorry, 6,785. Okay, so this is how ratio and proportion works. Now, if 43,560 is equal to 1 acre, then 6,785, even though we don't know what this is, we know that 6,785 is going to give us less acres, because see, 43,560 is bigger than this. So if 43,560 is given as 1, then 6,000, which is less than this, is going to give us less. Okay, so the way ratio and proportion works is this. If this is going to give us less, then more divides. And what I mean by more divides is this. The bigger number is going to go under 6,785. So it's going to be 6,785 divided by 43,560 times 1. Okay, so 43,560 gives us 1. So if that's the case, 6,785 is going to give us less. So if less, more divides. And again, more divides means the bigger number, the bigger number goes under 6,785, and then you multiply by what's here, 1. Okay. So the same idea with, let's say if this is a bigger number like that, okay, if it's a bigger number like this, okay, so the same idea, if 43,560 is equal to 1, then this big number obviously is going to give us more acres, because if this number is giving us 1, then this bigger number is going to give us more acres, and if more, less divides. So the way ratio and proportion works is if less, more divide. If more divides. If more, less divide. Okay, if less, more divides. If more, less divide. Okay, I hope I said that right. Okay, if less, more divide. If more, less divide. Okay, so for 43,000, around this number is giving us 1 acre. This bigger number is going to give us more. And if more, then less divide. And what I mean by less divide is the smaller number is going to go under this big number, and then you end up multiplying by 1. Now, if you realize whether this number is big or small, every time we are dividing by 43,560 and then multiplying all of that by 1. So if you remember, I'm going to undo this. When the number was 6,000, I think it was 6,785. Yeah, when the number was 6,785, 43,000 was giving us 1. So if this was giving us 1, then this was going to give us less. So if less, more divide. We're dividing 6,785 by 43560 and multiplying by 1. And when the number was a big number like this, if 43,560 gives us 1, then this big number is going to give us more acres. And if more, less divides. And that's going to be this big number divided by 43,560. And we end up multiplying by 1. Sorry. So that's how come, yes, they're giving us a sentence saying, divide the amount entered by 43,560. Okay, so that's the idea behind ratio and proportion, to figure it out. So we're going to use the same idea to write the program. And I'm sorry if I over-explain this or talk too much. I just wanted to, make it clear for anyone who didn't understand. Okay, so if you understand this, please feel free to skip through. But if you don't, then I hope this was helpful. All right, I'm going to leave this hint, and I'm going to write the program above it. Okay, so it says write a program that asks the user to enter the total square feet in a tract. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Sorry. That's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to ask the user to enter the total square feet. So I'm going to use the input function, and I'm going to go ahead and ask the user to do just that. Please enter the total amount of square feet. Okay, so once we do that, anytime you use the input function, whatever the user types is going to be returned or stored as a string. But we need a number to work with. So even if the user types in a number, that input is going to be stored and returned as a string. So, but we don't want a string. We first need to convert whatever the user typed into a number so we can use it. So once the user types whatever into types whatever here, when the question is asked, we want to go ahead and convert everything into a float. So I'm going to go amount of square feet. We're going to go ahead and convert everything into an integer. I'm sorry. Now, for now, we're just restricting square feet to an integer. Okay, so we're just assuming that the user is going to type an integer. If you have a program that the user is going to type a float, then you go ahead and convert it to a float. But for now, we are assuming that the person is going to type in an integer. So once the user types in something, we're going to go ahead and convert that into an integer. Okay, so let me space this out. We are going to convert everything the user typed here, into an integer. And once we do that, we are going to store it in a variable, and I'm going to call that variable user total. Where is it? Okay, I'm going to call it user total square feet. Did I type it right? Square feet. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this line. It used to be red in the first and second programs, but I found a way to actually change the color. I think this looks good. We can see the line, but it's not too it doesn't distract us too much. All right, so this line here. So basically, Python has this kind of soft rule where they don't want people or the it's not advisable to or it's not recommended to type too many characters on a line. So I think the limit is 80 characters. So this line here is just like a guide to try to help you type all your code in this area, okay, and not exceeding 80 characters per line. So this line here, I don't know if you can see it, but if you can see it, that's the guide. So because we are exceeding it now, I need to break this, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and break this line onto 2 lines, okay? I'm going to break it somewhere around here. Somewhere around here. Oh no, somewhere around here. So I'm going to first close the string. I'm going to concatenate it with this string, and I need to break it. But before I break it, I'm going to go ahead and undo it here. Before you break any line, we need to type the backslash before we break it. Okay. All right. So it's going to ask this question. We're going to convert it into an integer, store it in user total square feet. So now we have the user total square feet. So we can go ahead and do the calculation. All we have to do is follow this idea or follow this hint and then do the calculation. So now we need to go ahead and calculate how many acres, because the program says calculates the number of acres in a tract. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and calculate the number of acres, right? Which is going to be, so remember, every time over here we are dividing by 43,560 and multiplying by 1. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to calculate the user's total square feet, which is, this was just a random number to just test. It could be anything. This is just basically what the user types, which is what's stored here, user total square feet. So we're going to go ahead and calculate the number of acres based on what the user typed. So that's going to be user total square feet, okay, divided by 43,560. Now we can go ahead and store this in the variable to make the program more organized. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to come up here, and don't worry, I will come back to this statement. I'm going to come up here and declare a variable, and I'm going to store 43,560 in there, and I'm going to call that variable 1 acre. I'm just going to call this a random variable. So 1 acre of land size. Okay. Sorry for all the coughing, because it says 1 acre of land is equivalent to 43,560 square feet. Okay, so I'm just naming this 1 acre of land size is equal to 43,560. So now we have that stored here. So over here again, we are dividing what the user typed, which is user total square feet, by 43,560, which is 1 acre of the size of 1 acre of land. Okay, 1 acre of land is equivalent to this square feet. So that's what we're going to do. Oops, I named it once. 1. Okay, 1 acre of land size. You can name it anything as long as it's reasonable to you. Okay, but I'm naming mine 1 acre of land size. So remember we are dividing what the user typed. Okay, what the user typed, we use a total square feet by 43,560, which is 1 acre of land size, and multiplying by 1. Okay. All right. So once we do this calculation, this calculation is the number of acres. Okay. Oops. Yeah. This calculation is the number of acres. All right. So we need to create another variable. I'm going to call that variable number of acres. Okay, I'm even going to add user so we know that. And I'll just stick with number of acres. Okay, number of acres is fine. Okay, so number of acres now is going to be what the user typed. The square feet that the user typed divided by 1 acre of land size, which is 43,560 times 1. Okay. All right. We're multiplying by 1 because actually if you don't multiply by 1, if you multiply by 1, you're getting whatever the evaluation of this calculation is. But I'm just multiplying by 1, putting it there based on this ratio and proportion. Once you do the division, you multiply by what's here on the right. That's why I decided to put it there. It doesn't hurt at all. That's the right thing to do, actually. But some people may want to just remove this because it gives you the same answer here. Okay. So now that we've calculated the number of acres, now we can go ahead and print it. We can go ahead and print it because we have it. We have the value. So I'm going to use a print function. I'm going to print number of acres. Okay. Okay. I'm going to print out number of acres. All right. But the thing is, when you divide, sometimes it can be a double. Okay, we are dividing over here. If the user entered, for example, an integer, let's see, or even a double. Let's say the user entered an integer. This calculation could result in a double. Okay, so we could end up getting decimal. Anyway, let's print it and see what happens. All right, so print number of acres. We have it here. So now we're done. Let's just go ahead and see how this outputs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. Debug it, but it wants us to save it. So I'm going to save the file. I created a folder on the desktop. Python. I'm going to go ahead and create a folder just for this one. I'm going to call it land calculation. I'll call this land calculation of pi. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so please enter the total amount of, okay, so I didn't put a space either after this string or at the beginning of this string. So I'm going to go ahead and put one here and debug it one more time. Stop it and debug it one more time. Please enter the number of square feet. Okay, so we know that 43,560 is equal to 1 acre of land, right? Sorry. So if I enter 43,560, I'm expecting 1 acre of land. So let's do that. 43,560. I'm going to hit enter, and it says 1.0. 1.0, because this division is giving us a double. Okay, it's giving us a float. Let me not use double. A float. Okay, a float is like a decimal, so that's why we can go ahead and format this so it just displays something else. But I don't know the requirement of the question if it wants us to display everything, or just the whole part of it. But I will assume that it wants the decimals too. Okay, so we're going to leave the decimals, okay, and round it to maybe 2 decimal places or something. I'm going to run it one last time, and not one last time, but one more time, and type in random values. Oops, what did I do? Random values here, and hit enter, and it says 8 point something. So let's format this to make it look, nice a little bit. So I'm going to first create a string and say number of acres, okay, and I'm going to concatenate it with with this number formatted. I want this number formatted. Now when you use a format function, anything that's returned from the format function is a string. So you can go ahead and concatenate it with another string. But if you're concatenating just the number of acres, you can't do that because it will try to convert this, either it's an integer or a float, to a string, and it will try to it will try to do that in an implicit way, and it will complain when it's doing that. It will try to do the conversion in an implicit way, so it will complain doing that. But if you format this, what this function is returning is going to be a string, so you can go ahead and concatenate it with this one. Okay, all right. I hope I didn't confuse anyone there. All right, so I'm going to format it. The first argument is what you're formatting. The second argument is the format specifier. So I want it formatted to I want it formatted as a float. So I'm using F to represent float, and I want to format it to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to use 0.2. Okay, and that's fine. So 0.2 formatted to 2 decimal places as a float, and I'm concatenating the string number of acres to the output of this function. So before that, let me just put a colon here at the end of the question so it looks good. All right, so I'm going to debug it one last time. Not one last time, I keep on saying one last time, one more time, and type in let's type in 43,560. Okay, so we did that. Let's see how it looks now. And it says 1.00. Number of acres is 1.00. Okay, let's try another value. Let's see, 7659087, and now it says 175.83. So you can round this to any number you want. If you can round it to zero decimal places, and you're going to get just 175. It depends on the requirements or what you want. But with respect to the question, we have solved it. Okay, so I don't think if there's anything else to do. Oops, sorry about that. I don't think if there's anything else to do, but it looks like we're done. It looks like we're done. It asks the user to enter the square feet, and then it displays the acres. Okay. All right. Sorry for all the coughing and all the roughness of the video. If I confused anyone, or if anyone didn't understand anything, please comment down below, and I'll do everything to respond to them or try to explain or answer them. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time in the next program. Bye-bye.